Hey guys, I want to stop and slow down and talk about one of the most popular center sections out there, and that is the Ford 9-inch. Now they're popular for a few reasons. One of them is that they're pretty easy to find because they started making them back in 1957 and used them all the way up into the early 80s. A second reason is these things from the factory are tougher than woodpecker lips. And third, well, they have a dropout center section, so swapping the gear ratios around is relatively easy. Integral differentials must be assembled in the rear end housing, where non-integral, like this Ford 9-inch, can be prepared and assembled on a workbench. That makes them perfect for hot rodders and drag racers. You can have multiple center sections all ready to go with different gear ratios, and then they can be swapped out in short periods of time. Now, the aftermarket world really embraced these things. You can pretty much build a brand new one straight out of the catalog if you want to. Or there's companies out there like Curry Enterprises that manufactures a complete unit from brake drum to brake drum to fit pretty much under anything for all types of cars and trucks. Now, if you're wondering what that 9-inch refers to, it's the actual diameter of the ring gear. You just measure it from side to side. Now, if you're going to be buying one of these things in the salvage yard, you might want to do a little bit of homework before you pay the man for it, because this 9-inch has a big and little brother. They make an 8-inch and they make a 9 3/8, which is actually known as a 9 1/2. The 8-inch, it comes in the smaller cars, usually like a Mustang, or it can be even in like a Comet or something like that. That big 9 1/2, well, it can come in those big body cars like a Mercury or Lincoln, and I've also seen them in a 4x4 truck. Just make sure that you figure out what you're buying first. Now, there are a couple of telltale signs. One of those is under here on the bottom. Take a look at the bottom two bolts under here. If you can get a socket on it, you're dealing with an 8-inch. Now, if you're fooling with a stock unit, oftentimes there's a little metal tag hanging off the side with some codes on it. And them codes can help you out. And I'll tell you like the gear ratio and whether or not this is a 9, 8, or 9 1/2. But let's say that tab's gone. What are you gonna do? Well, a good rule of thumb is to go ahead and pull this thing out, measure it across there. That'll tell you for sure. Now, this little hunk of metal here is actually for demonstration purposes of our cutaway, but this part through here actually simulates the stub of an axle. Now, the stub of the axle here is a 28 spline, and to count them, you'd want to count the peaks, not the grooves or the valleys. Now, from the factory, the 9-inch did have a 31 spline, but it was for heavier and more performance-oriented applications. Now, the aftermarket world, well, they have them on up into the 40s, and as a general rule of thumb, more splines, stronger the axle. Well, hope this information helped y'all out. Y'all know the deal. We're all out of time for now, so until next time, y'all keep it between the ditches.